On this edition of Eamon and the Gaffers, it is my delight to interview Ally McCoist. Ally began his playing career with St Johnstone. He moved to Sunderland in 1981. He returned to Scotland 2 years later and he signed with Glasgow Rangers. He had a really successful spell there, becoming the club's record goal scorer. He won 9 successive league championships between 1988 and 89 and 96 and 97. He then went on to play for Kilmarnock. He was inducted into the Scottish Sports Hall of Fame in 2007. He's also a member of the Scotland Football Hall of Fame, having gained 61 international caps, a prolific striker in his time. And he's currently ranked as the 5th highest goal scorer in the top tier of the Scottish Football League system, having netted 260 times for Rangers and Kilmarnock between 1983 and 2001. Now, towards the end of his playing career, Ally McCoist started a media career. Between 1996 and 2007, he was a team captain on the BBC Sports quiz, A Question of Sport. He then began to scale back those media commitments in 2007 when he became an assistant manager to Walter Smith at Glasgow Rangers. Big decision, Ally, leaving TV, a show, primetime BBC, won millions and millions and millions of viewers, to go back into football. Why?
Well, it's amazing, Eamon, and you're asking that question. And to be fair to you, so did Walter. He asked me to go for a bit of lunch with him. And we'd obviously we'd worked together with the national team. Myself and Tommy Burns were his assistants in the national team. And we sat down at lunch and he said, you know, he was going to get the Rangers job. Would I like to go as his assistant? And within a couple of seconds, I looked straight across and I said, yes, absolutely. When do we start? And he said, whoa, just wait a minute. He said, it's a massive decision for you. Think about what you're giving up. It was strange because I didn't look on it like that at all. Much as I loved Question of Sport, and I have to tell you, Eamon, I adored it. It was brilliant. You know, a real dream job working with, you know, the world's best sports men and women, you know, and getting to meet your heroes, if you like. So, as much as I loved doing it, it was a complete no-brainer for me. But Walter said, no, he said, just wait a minute. He said, go home, obviously have a chat with the family and, you know, have a week to think about it. And I did. I went home. But after 2 or 3 days, I phoned him up, Eamon, and I said, look, let's have a coffee. Had the coffee. I said, my opinion and my answer to your question hasn't changed in 2 or 3 days. I'd love to come with you as number 2. And he looked at me and said, you've obviously thought about it, chatted over with the family. I said, absolutely. I said, let's go. But it was amazing to think you asking that question. And it was the first thing that Walter did say to me. Maybe I didn't appreciate just, you know, what I had and what I was giving up. And if that was the case, I apologise for that. But in no way was I not, you know, I was underselling the Question of Sport captaincy because I loved it. No. But
then that shows you what Rangers must have meant to you, or what Walter Smith must have meant to you.
Both, Eamon. Both of them meant so much to me. You know what it's like. I grew up as a kid, and Rangers were my team. I had the opportunity to play for them, which is, you know, beyond MD's wildest dreams when you're growing up. Centre forward for them, scoring goals, captained them a few times as well. And for the majority of that period, Walter was indeed assistant manager to Graham and manager himself. So, you know, Walter was you know, very, very significant. Certainly in my time as a Rangers player. The lure of both of them certainly was massive, absolutely massive. And even you know, looking back on it, there was absolutely no way that I was going to give up an opportunity like this, Eamon.
What did you learn from Walter Smith? I mean, he seemed to be generous to you. I mean, there was a cup run, for instance, and he would say to you, "Look, you take the team for the cup."
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me what he was like. What you learned from him?
See, when I look back and think about it over certainly my playing career, Eamon, I was incredibly fortunate. Even at St Johnstone, when, you know, I was managed to get in a squad of lads, of semi-professional boys that went to Holland to a tournament, a semi-professional tournament with Italy, England, and Holland. And Jock Stein came and was in charge of the team. And then obviously when I was a boy, there was a period where I was, you know, I worked under Sir Alex, and then obviously moved on to Walter. So I think it's safe to say, particularly with Scottish managers, I've been blessed with the ones that I've worked under and had an opportunity to learn from. And as different as all the managers, and I include Graham in it as well, and all the managers, particularly Rangers, Jock Wallace, John Greig, as different as individual and as individual as they all were, they all had very, very similar qualities of, in my opinion, a good, honest, hard-working Scottish work ethic, you know, that would certainly not pull the wool over MD's eyes. Very, very disciplined, expected you to naturally to do your best and give of your best, and any of them were not slow in telling you if you didn't reach those standards that they expected from you. So what I'm trying to say is, and I don't like using the term sometimes, they were probably old school managers rather than modern day coaches.
But you weren't an old school manager. You were a man who had a great TV profile. You were a character. You were a pin-up boy striker. You also had starred in a movie, quite a good movie actually, A Shot at Glory, with big names. You had Robert Duvall there. You had Michael Keaton in there. I think you got third billing, my friend. So what I'm trying to say to you is there could have been a whole other life opened up for you. And the fact that people knew you had profile and you were now coming back into the dressing room to tell them how it was, to lay down the law, did that in any way go against you?
Honestly, I can't speak for other people and their opinion on it, but I don't think it did. What I think helped me more than anything, Eamon, was the fact that as a player, now this isn't, I'll be careful what I'm saying here, but as a player, I think it helped that I'd been over the course and distance as a player and had been reasonably successful. Now, I'm not saying for a minute that you have to be an ex-player to be a successful manager. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I think it definitely helped me.
Nobody could argue with your record. Then, of course, you took over from Walter Smith in 2011, right? That's only 9 years ago. Then it hit the fan. Everything hit the fan, right? The club suffered serious financial difficulties, liquidation in 2012. And then you as manager, you're told your team is going from the Scottish Premier League to the fourth tier of Scottish League football. Could I ask you, my friend, why did you stay on? You must have thought of leaving.
My hand in my heart, Eamon, I did never once thought about leaving. And that's why it's a kind of very strange emotional mixture, really, because it was without doubt the most dramatic time in the club's history. It was a horrendous time. People that had been at the place for, and I'm not talking about players here, Eamon, because players, generally speaking, will survive. Players can get another club and they can move on and do what they do. But there was a core of people that every club has, particularly full-time professional clubs, that have been there for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and it is their life. And there was people that like that, whose livelihoods were being taken from them, and that was absolutely crushing. It was crushing. In many ways, I often think about it, and people they ask me, and it's an obvious question, do I regret staying, or do I regret taking the manager's job? And I think about it often, and my answer is always the same. It's no, I don't regret it one bit. Because there's part of me, the disappointment at what happened to the club and the bad luck that we as a coaching staff and players and a group of staff went through is far outweighed by the fact I'm actually quite proud of the fact, Damon, that we managed to get through it. Because many's the time we were questioning whether the club would survive and get through it. And with the help of so many great people, you know, and I'm talking about people like, you know, obviously natural coaching staff, but I'm talking about people, you know, Stephen and Carl, for example, at PR, you know, who used to help me on a daily basis. People like that, Laura, my secretary, who was an absolute diamond and tower of strength through it all. People like that who showed great courage and determination all helped. And I look back and I think, you know, I'm actually glad in many ways that it was myself that was in charge, because without doubt, you know, I made mistakes. 100% I made mistakes. but at least Rangers and Rangers fans could have some comfort in the knowledge that it was a Rangers supporter and somebody that knew
Yes.
how much the club meant to so many people.
But then let me ask you, there must have been a certain amount of humiliation or humble pie in this. You go from Scottish Premier League, that magnificent stadium that you have, and you're turning out in the fourth tier on, I'm sure, some grounds that must be like parklands at times. When you walked out with your club there, you must have felt, I know you had confidence to say, I can do this, we can bring them up, but my goodness me, was there humiliation associated with that?
Eamon, I never, ever felt humiliated. No, not at all. Absolutely not at all. I felt enormous pride, to tell you the truth. And I felt very, very thankful to be given the opportunity for our club to play football again. I made it our job to try and be as dignified and as classy in the bottom tier as we would hope to have been in the top tier. And I hope we did that. And I think we did that, Eamon. I really do believe that we went to, whether it was Peterhead or Berwick or Annan or any of these places.
What did it mean to Peterhead and Berwick and Alnwick for the great Glasgow Rangers to be turning up on their pitches?
I could tell you stories. We would be here all night. You wouldn't believe it. Our opening game at Peterhead, for example, I'll never forget, we rolled into Peterhead, and I tell the story. I mean, it must have been like the circus coming to town. I mean, there was grannies out in the street with grandkids in their arms, babies all waving and delighted to see the Rangers come into town. And I remember turning to Ian Durrant at the time, Eamon, I said to him, Durante, who I played with for 15, 20 years at Rangers, and I said, Durante, I said, always had a feeling that you and I would somehow end up at Peterhead, but this wasn't how I imagined it. And I have to explain the joke. Peterhead is the high security prison. And that's the joke. When I tell that joke south of the border, I tell it north of the border, they get it automatically. When you tell guys down south of the border, you have to explain that Peterhead's a high security prison. But in answer to your question, we rolled up at Peterhead, and we come off the bus, and I'm first off the bus, and the Peterhead chairman's there, right? The old fella. And he grabs me like some long-lost son or brother, and he's hugging me, and he's just so pleased that the Rangers came to town. And he said, you need to come with me. And this is what it was like. They put up two massive marquees, you know, to accommodate as many people as they could effectively and provide hospitality. And we matched into these marquees, and he hands me a microphone and said, speak to them. And there's like 700 folk having their pre-match dinner. And my job as Rangers manager clearly normally wasn't to do that. But in these occasions, it was to do that.
And that wasn't humiliating. That was something you embraced.
100%. 100%. And I could carry on with the story. I mean, Ideally, my job should have been in the dressing room for the final hour, around 15 minutes, preparing the boys. But I wasn't able to do that. Or I would have been able to do it if I'd said no. But saying no wasn't the correct thing to do. Going into and meeting the people and you know, make yourself available to the people of Peterhead was the right thing to do.
Did you win the match?
Do you know something? We scored an equaliser with 5 minutes to go. I mean, it's incredible. We couldn't win a game away from home. Eamon, at that particular period, we turned up for pre-season training with 4 players. We ended up having trial games to get a squad of players together. It was absolutely amazing.
Did you ever think the team would fold? You're stripped of resources, you're stripped of players, you're publicly humiliated. Was there a danger Rangers could have folded?
Oh, 100%. Making absolutely no mistake about it. There was a chance Rangers could have folded.
Well, let me ask you something, because I know all this hurts, and I don't want to dwell on this because there's so much to talk to you about. But was there another solution? I know this is contested. I know the Inland Revenue Bill is being contested towards Rangers and the penalty that there was. Would you have been in agreement, or are you in agreement, and you weren't a player at the time during these financial regularities, that if Rangers had been just stripped of those titles and kept in the Scottish Premier League, would that have been a better punishment solution or not? Where do you stand on titles being stripped?
I'm 100% against it. I'll tell you right now, I was at a meeting as Rangers manager involving the SFA, and some other characters, and the meeting went on about other things, and then the subject of title stripping came up, and I stood up at the meeting, Eamon, and I slammed my papers together, and there was about 14, 15 people at the meeting, and I said, gentlemen, you'll have to excuse me, because I'm from this moment on, I'm taking absolutely no part in this madness. And I walked out the room. Not only was it a non-starter for me, it was people trying to play to an audience that should never have existed. You know, I look back and I tell people, I mean, Juventus actually get caught blatantly cheating, and they were put down one division for a year. Now, I'm not asking people to make comparisons. I'm making a statement of fact.
But you don't think Rangers were cheating?
No, I don't. Absolutely not at all. The payments that they were making at that particular time, and I think the case is still going on. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people were doing it. Now, that doesn't necessarily make it right, but I do not for 1 minute think that anybody involved at Rangers Football Club was carrying that out thinking they were cheating. Absolutely no way.
Okay. Look, I want to move on from this, and I want to sum up your Rangers time by a quote you have made in the past couple of years, and you said, my extended family was those boys that I worked with and played with and coached and managed and worked under. It was the greatest experience of my life, and I was very, very privileged to play there, coach there, and manage there. It was a dream come true. And when you were at Sunderland, and the dream was a wee bit of a nightmare, it wasn't working out too well. And Alan Durbin says to you, Rangers are in for you. Did that at any time back then seem like a retrograde step?
No, not at all. I just couldn't believe how lucky I was to be given the opportunity. I mean, and it's worth a mention. You're talking about managers. It's only fair that I mention Alan Durbin, because I remember it as if it was yesterday. In fact, it was 37 years ago. 3 days ago, on the 8th of June, I signed for Rangers. 37 years ago, and I remember the morning I went into Roker Park, and Alan Durbin said to me, "Rangers want to sign you. Pardon me, John Gregg and Tommy McLean want to drive down to Carlisle to talk to you." I said, "Well, that's great. I'll go along A69 and meet them." And Alan Durbin said to me, he said, "I think you should go for a number of reasons." I said, "Okay, do you? I accept that and appreciate that." I said, "Why do you say that?" He said, "The main one is," he said, "I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'll be here at Sunderland for the foreseeable future for a long time." And I thought that was an amazing thing to say. You know, he could have, you know, it was, again, I mentioned the honesty that all my managers showed me. I thought it was a fantastic, you know, really, really fantastic, honest thing to say to me. And of course, I was going anyway. It was just for me, it was just a matter of going along that road, seeing John Gregg. And in those days, I don't even think we discussed terms. Honest to goodness, I don't think we did, Eamon. It was just, you know, give me that pen and paper before you change your mind, John. You know, and that's
your granny was very influential in this, wasn't she?
Oh, Eamon, I promise you, my wee granny was just a wee old lady from Thornley Bank in Glasgow, and I should have phoned my mum and dad, but I didn't. It was the old slot machine, 2 bob in the phone. And I ran to the phone reception. I phoned my granny in Thornley Bank, and I told her that our grandson had signed for Rangers. And Eamon, the quote was, I could have given her £1 million and it would have meant nothing to her. She wouldn't have been happier. I can still hear the "oh son" in her voice, you know what I mean? And you know that I knew, not that I doubted it for a minute. I just knew right there and then what a decision I've made here.
What a decision, right? So amazing. You go to play from, you please your granny. You then go to manage Rangers as well. Could I ask you, Ali, what is the relationship generally between a Rangers manager and a Celtic manager? I mean, professionally and personally.
To be honest with you, any times that particularly as a manager or as an assistant watching, there's always been a healthy respect. Healthy respect. There really has. There's got to be, Eamon. I don't care what anybody says. There has got to be a healthy respect. Listen, it's like life. You'll go on with people, some better than others. But in a working relationship, particularly between Rangers and Celtic, there has to be a healthy working relationship and a respect for each other. And I believe, certainly all the times that I was manager, there was always that, listen, your fallouts, your arguments, of course you do, that's part and parcel of the game that we love and that we play and we get involved in. But if there's ever a drop in the respect, then you've got a real problem. And I think particularly in the Old Firm in Scotland, you know, I think there has always been, and we've some fantastic managers when you think about it, you know, Martin O'Neill and Billy McNeil and Graham Souness, Tommy Burns, Walter Smith, you name it. They've always been very, very respectful men and very respectful of each other's position.
Did you mention Neil Lennon there? Did you?
Absolutely. And you know something? I'm glad you brought that up, because the only way I tell this story is when we had, you know, it wasn't even handbags. We'd a fallout. That's what it was. We'd a fallout in the touchline. And Eamon, see, within 4 minutes, we're sitting in his office having a beer, you know?
That's good to hear.
Don't get me wrong, I paid him. But we're sitting in his office at Parkhead having a beer and laughing about how stupid we were, you know what I mean? It happens with players on the park. It happens. How many times have we seen it with coaches and managers off it? Or one of the things I love particularly about management and coaching, and I'm sure it happens all over the place, but always in Scotland, no matter what happened in the 90 minutes, the opposing manager always come into our office for a drink with his staff after the game. And when we were away from home, and no matter where we were, we always went into the opposing manager's office for a drink. And that's the way it should be.
Was it hard to talk?
Oh, no, listen, no, not that particular time, because at least we had something to talk about and have a laugh about. you try getting in there after a 3-0 defeat, because you need a little hole in the head. But you've got to do it, mate. You've got to take the rough for the smooth. Doesn't matter how you feel about it. The bottom line is you've got to get it and either enjoy your bottle of beer or you've got to take your medicine.
Take your medicine.
And the great thing about it is, particularly with Old Firm managers, you know exactly how the other manager's feeling. Because if they won, you know, there's got to be respect. You know they're feeling good. But also, if you've won, you know how they feel.
Now, let me ask you about perhaps the biggest rivalry in British football. So you get to an Old Firm game, you get to Old Firm match day. What is that like? Because you've been there as a player, cup finals, and you know, as a manager as well. What's that pressure like, particularly as a manager, as a gaffer?
It's greater as a manager, I can tell you that, Damon. Oh, no doubt about it. As a player, there's a buzz of excitement. There's butterflies in the build-up, 2 or 3 days, maybe even a week before it. A general excitement. But as a manager, it's more a sick feeling in the gut of your stomach. I've got to say to you, it really is, mate. It's a sick feeling in the gut of your stomach. And I remember, I'll tell you right now, I've got a picture up the stairs, Eamon. The look in my face as a manager when we scored against Celtic, every emotion in my body coming out my face. And I look at it and I think, wow, I mean, I don't regret it, but I look at the picture and I say to myself, how much intensity, how much pressure must I have been feeling to look like that when that goal went in? So the build-up as a player, enjoys maybe taking it too far, but you can feel the butterflies in your stomach. But I tell you right now, the difference as a manager, oh, it's intense. It really is intense.
So that brings me to player or manager. If you know, when you look back at your life, which is the obvious choice for you? Oh,
playing all day. Playing's crikey. I still play. I still try and get out play 5 sides with the boys just now. And our game is great. We've got 10, 12 of us play 5s and 6s of Old Firm players. Now, before you ask the question, the obvious question, we don't play Rangers Celtic. We mix the sides up.
You mix the sides up. So who's there from the Celtic boys?
Oh, McAvenny. Brilliant. And I want it on record, I'm moving slightly quicker than him nowadays. It doesn't mean I'm fast, but I'm slightly quicker than him. McAvenny, Simon Donnelly, you know, all the boys. We've got a great squad. Alec Ray plays for it. Really, we've got a great squad of boys playing. So, from that point of view, I would have to say playing, Eamon, because, and I tell all the guys now, not only enjoy it because it goes past so quickly, but play as long as you physically and possibly can. Because no matter when you stop playing, you'll look back and I think you'll look back and say your playing days were your best. Getting up in the morning, not having the pressure of worrying about other people, you know, in terms of as a manager, as a coach, just going and, you know, worrying about your own performance and how you could help the team win. Those days were for me the greatest. That said, I thoroughly enjoyed coaching and managing. Absolutely.
Can you explain to me, particularly in your position, the thrill of scoring a goal, particularly if it's long range or spectacular? What is that like? What does that feel like?
It's like an explosion of immense joy. It really is. Particularly important goals. The winning goal in the cup final would mean a lot more emotionally than the second goal in a 5-1 victory.
You've had a winning goal on a cup final, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to do that. So there's something that's without doubt irreplaceable. The feeling and hitting the ball into the back of the net. But I still get one hell of amount of joy of sticking the ball in the back of the net at the five-a-side. It's a feeling, and it's a desire that never leaves you, and you don't want to lose. I was telling the story the other day, whether it's out the back playing with the kids. I mean, I got a real body blow during this lockdown when for the first time in my career, I wasn't even first picking my family. I mean, mate, hey man, that's agony. I mean,
but they're protecting you. You know, they think like he's old now. He's old. He could fall down dead here. You know, anything could happen to him.
I would not want to wish that on any dad. When your youngest son picks his big brother before you, that's a message, mate. It's a message.
That's a message. Let me ask you: are you done with managing? That's a no. That's a no. That's a maybe if the right job came along.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, anybody that says they're done with it, you know, it's a heck of a statement to make. Football, you know, it's been said for years and years. Football, it's like a drug. You love it. I love it. Kids love it. So it would be wrong for me to say that I'm over. It would have to be something, Eamon, that clearly, you know, suited my family as much as anything. If the right job, the right offer come along, you'd have to give it serious thought.
Celtic?
Call it a hunch. I think Neil Lenny's got that one covered.
He's got that covered. But are you, I mean, I don't know exactly how it all ended for you at Rangers, but you'd done the hard graft and you'd got back up to the Premier League. Are you welcome back there? I'm not necessarily talking about it as a manager or whatever, but can you go through the doors at Ibrox? Is there a decent feeling towards you?
Absolutely. No, I'm very, very lucky. I take my kids and we all go, all the boys go, you know, they play, we go and watch them, and if we can fit it in, we go and watch Rangers, particularly at home. So I mean, I've been nothing but blessed with the relationship that I have with, indeed, the supporters, the club itself, and the people within the club. Very lucky.
Your family, and always will be so.
Do you know something? Yeah, I would definitely hope that was the case, and I think that is the case, yeah.
So, we now find you as you're a very good analyst, pundit. You're in a position where on programs, whether it's television or whether it's radio, like Talk Sport, you have to give opinions. Once you give an opinion, people will have an opposite opinion. It can get you in trouble and whatever. Are you easy at giving opinions? I mean, you have the knowledge, you've been there, you've done it, you've got the T-shirt on all levels. Do you enjoy analysing the game?
I do, Eamon. And you know something? I'm very, very happy and comfortable with it. I can now see it, and I do understand it from both sides of the fence. If you're a manager or a coach, absolutely up for criticism. Of that, there is no doubt. Because particularly up here, the Rangers manager, the Celtic manager and the Prime Minister are the only three jobs in the country where everybody thinks they can do it better than the man that's in it, or the woman that's in it for that matter. Yeah. So the one thing you're guaranteed is criticism, and that's fine. As long as you think it's fair, people are 100% entitled to their opinion. And that's the one thing I did learn pretty quickly in management. You're even when you think you're 100% sure that you've made the right decision and there's absolutely no criticism should be coming your way. There will be criticism coming your way because somebody will see it differently. So you have to accept that. And if it's done in the right manner, you absolutely 100% do not have a problem with it. And that's what I've learned. And that is why I've always tried to deliver any criticism I have in a fair-minded way.
Yes.
You know, in a way.
What about when you were a player, and you must have learnt to take this and adapt this when you became a manager? But for instance, there was a time when you were at your beloved Rangers that, correct me if I'm wrong, they called you the judge, didn't they? Because you sat on the bench
yeah.
so long. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was under Graham Souness, wasn't it?
It was, 100%.
It was. How then, I mean, did you look at that decision? You must have then, as a manager, had to implement decisions like that. Did that help you to understand Graham any more or not?
Absolutely. Listen, when I was playing, Graham was 100% wrong. What was he thinking about? He's daft, he's crazy, he's lost it, he's mental. Drop me, put me in the pitch. How dare he? It's all about me. What are you thinking about, Graham? But then when you go over the other side, you know, clearly he was doing it for the benefit of the team. Right, but I never saw it that way. But as soon as you go over the other side, the amount of conversations I've had with players that I was leaving out and dropping, I say to them, and by the way, I've sat in that chair, and I've thought exactly what you're thinking about me.
Yeah.
And you know something? There's maybe nothing I can say to you right now that will change your mind. But I'll tell you this, if you eventually come and sit where I'm sitting, you'll understand it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm not sure of the timeline here, but the film experience, a shot at Glory, where did that happen in you? Were you still a player when that happened?
Yeah, I was just finishing down at Kilmarnock.
Coming to the end of your playing career?
Absolutely.
Right. And well, that must have been an amazing thing to get the phone call for that.
Oh, amen. I mean, we look back and we still have a laugh, and it was what a time that was. And as you rightly said, I mean, we're talking Robert Duvall here and Michael Keating, and the amazing thing was, and I shouldn't really and can't really speak for him, but certainly Robert Duvall, he absolutely loved the camaraderie that we had, the football team had that were made in the film, because we were all pros and we knew each other. And there was a camaraderie and a bond from making the film. And it was absolutely hilarious and priceless at the same time. Admo and Winnebago, there was only 2 Winnebagos. Robert Duvall had this monster one, and I had the next Admo and Winnebago. Right, Admo and Winnebago, which lasted for about 10 minutes. And then everybody piled into my Winnebago. Now, I don't think in Hollywood that happens when your own Winnebago gets taken over by 30 snottery guys with filthy knees and all that stuff. But that's what it was, and it was such a happy time in my life, and a great fun and a great story.
Okay. So there's a couple of things. A lot of football movies are rubbish, like Escape to Victory or whatever. The football just doesn't seem to work. But the football worked there. You had guys who played the game, you all knew each other. It seemed to work very well. And the other thing was, you were a really good-looking boy. I'll say that for you. Did it ever make you think? And your acting was fine, absolutely no problem with that, because you know anybody that sees you on the football pitch would have seen you could have got an Oscar anytime or some stuff like there. But so no problem with the acting. Did you ever think there was an acting career in the offing after that?
I really enjoyed it, but you know something, deep down, I always felt my direction, my focus, my future, my pathway was going to be football. I'll tell you the truth, Eamon. I think about it more now than I did then. I look at some of the Netflix series. I'll tell you the gospel truth. I look at some of the Netflix
series. You look at Vinnie Jones and you
I speak to Vinnie. Vinnie's different class. But you look at some of them now and you think, I wonder if I could get a wee part in that. You know, I fancy a little part in that. It'd be great. I think about it now, but I never thought about it at the time because I just felt my natural pathway was to be football. And that's the way it turned out. And as I say, absolutely, Eamon, no regrets. I mean, we had some giggles. I'll tell you a story. We're down at Palmerston at Queen of the South, and we're filming one of the cup games for a shot at Glory. And the line was, Jimmy Boyle, who played with Ayers at the time, would go down the right wing, he'd put it by a defender, he'd flip it over, and I'd overhead kick it at the top corner for 20 yards, right? So the director's a boy called Michael Carenti.
Right.
Honest to God, this is how it goes. And by the way, the stadium's full. they've asked for extras to come up in the shape and form of fans. Place is full. So Jimmy Boyle goes down the right wing, goes by somebody, flicks it across. Eamon, if I never move for this seat, up there, bang, overhead kick, top corner. Right.
First time.
First time.
Oh.
So we're all running about screaming, cheering at the fact it went in first time, never mind anything else, right? And Michael Carenti's going, let's do that again. Let's see that again. And I'm touching him. Michael, you can forget it, boy. I'm telling you, if the cameras weren't rolling there, it's all over.
One take wonder. Yeah, that's always directors. My friend, I could talk to you forever. And thank you very much for your time. I just want to ask you, whether it is acting that you pursue, whether it's back in management or as a pundit, whatever the future holds for you, how would you like to be remembered in football terms? People were saying that Ali McCoist. What would you like them to say about you?
In all honesty, Eamon, I'd be really happy if they said he gave his best every day. He was involved in football, whether it was management, coaching, scoring goals, playing. If the old guys in the pubs were sitting talking about me and my career, if they looked at each other and said, well, he gave of his best, and he could score a goal, I'd be happy with that, mate.
You'd be happy with that. And there was always an entertaining element to you as well, whether it was as the actor or whether it was as a player or manager. You think there was an entertainer in you?
Well, I think it's an entertainment business. I really do. I stand by that. And if you can do your job and put a smile on people's faces at the same time, I think that's a big help. Listen, I'm not sure it's the biggest priority. The biggest priority is getting results. Of course it is. But if you can do that and put a smile on people's faces at the right time, I don't think you're doing too badly.
Well, thank you for doing all of that. Thank you for speaking to me on this videocast and podcast. Eamon and the Gaffers, it's there, available on YouTube and Facebook, and it's available as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. That was Ali McCoist, and he is this time round's gaffer. Thank you very much, Ali. Thank you.
Thanks, Eamon. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.